Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well today. Hope everybody's got some great weather. If your weather's half as good as mine, then you're doing really well. But today I'll talk to you about something I've been working on for well over a month now. And this is, who are you watching? And who's watching who? This is a compilation of just some people I've been watching lately. Definitely not every single person I've ever watched do a Transformer video over the years, but these are ones that I have definitely seen in the past month or so, and just a little bit on the shout out side, bringing some attention to it. But if there's someone that's not on this list that you like, hey, maybe you want to check them out, someone you want to shout out that's doing a great job out there making Transformers videos, this is the video to do it. And put it in the comments, and I'll refer back to this in a few months and make another shout out video. I like a little time to check out some new people, and then I'll do the same thing with them and so forth. But this is fun, but also at the same time, there's several topics they've discussed that I will chime in on as we go to make it even more fun. Coming up. Alright, so starting out this list here, there is no ranking. There is no better or worse kind of stuff. I don't do that. I saw someone do that in Marvel Legends. I thought that was kind of despicable. But, and I think everybody that watched that video thought it was despicable. But this is going to start with TF Marauders. Now, these guys are fun for a lot of reasons, but number one, you get up to 9 different people's opinions on a figure, a topic, or something going on. And it's long-form content, so it's not like a 10-minute video or an 8-minute video. It's over an hour usually, but not like 3 hours, so it's not excessive. And I like putting this stuff on, putting on a long-form video such as this while I'm working on other things, and I like to get 9 other people's responses or thoughts. Now, they do a lot of stuff that's kind of fun with numbers. I don't know where they get the numbers from, but I like numbers. I like being able to quantify a qualitative measure, which using numbers to talk about how we feel about these things. And with that, they do that very well, actually, and it's fascinating to me. So there's a lot to it. Plus, there's another thing about their podcast or their show, is the fact that they disagree with each other. But if someone disagrees with someone else's point, they're like, well, why do you think that? Instead of arguing, you never hear arguing, you hear discussions. And so it's really, really great. So if you haven't checked out TF Marauders, you really should. You're going to get a lot out of it, especially, I know a lot of the Masterpiece stuff they discuss, I think they do discuss mainline stuff too, but most of the conversations I've watched are about Masterpiece, which interests me the most. Next up, we have TJ Omega, and so this is his video. It's like a clip of him talking about the Unicron thing. Now, I did make a video about disagreeing with him. I just talked about disagreeing. I feel like I was very respectful about a disagreement, and definitely not bash him or anything, because I'd like to go hear what he's got to say about, let's just say something Armada pops up. I don't know anything about Armada. I think my grandmother knew more about Armada than I did, so I'd go hear what he's got to say about whatever's going on with Armada. And this here, too, he's got some great thoughts on it. Truth be told, I wouldn't be upset if they actually did put out basically what the whole thought process behind the Unicron rumor that's going on is that we're going to get another Unicron, but it's going to be 86 movie Unicron, and they're going to reuse this mold, but maybe possibly smooth it out. I don't know. Make it look a little bit more like, or just recolor it or something. They have to recolor it, and they have to redo the box. That is the minimum requirement that they put in the small print for a HasLab. And for those of you who don't know, G.I. Joe Classified's doing it with the His Tank, making a white His Tank. They can do it. It's not the end of the world if they still have the tooling. But yes, I like checking out TJ Omega and what he's got to say. Funny, there's so much Unicron stuff this week, but I do value TJ Omega's opinion, and he's another one that'll talk about pretty much anything that's out there and give his opinion, which I like. I've been kind of low-key following the 14th Prime's adventure here with getting the Unicron. Well, this week's buzz. It seems like this week it's the big buzz, and he's been on his journey for about a month now, trying to get his hands on the original HasLab Unicron. I think he paid like $1,500 for his. I can't remember exactly how much he said he paid for it, but it was far more, at least double what the original sale price was of it. And he says he's extremely happy. And he spent all his time watching every single video of transformations on these, and it's just interesting watching his journey. It's such a different journey than I was on. My journey with this was making videos talking about speculation and guessing before it comes, and then when we finally get it, and it's like, oh yeah, we got it, and then put your display together and all that. But his is more of the trying to find one for a decent price, and that kind of journey is interesting. It's interesting, and him talking about it and his genuine excitement and the transformation of it and all that kind of stuff. So he's done a pretty good job with that, but he does other stuff too. This is just most recently what I sort of more or less introduced to the 14th Prime with his kind of series of videos talking about the HasLab Unicron. And I'm pretty sure he's going to make a video about all the speculation of the new one coming at 14th Prime. Next up, we got Streak Shooters Collection, Streak Shooters TF Collection. Now, one of the things I like about his videos, and it's one of the things I try to showcase too, great comparisons. Like, what are you going to compare these to that everybody wants to see? And I think that's really, he does a great job with the comparisons. And yeah, great job on everything else too. But the comparisons are like top notch, and you get to see what I'm looking for. I love his backgrounds too, which makes me kind of want to rethink. See, when I watch other people's videos, I start thinking about, I want to do that. I want to copy that. I want to put me a nice background like that together. But I don't want to do it too soon, because then you'll know, oh, Mike's just knocking off Streak Shooter's background there. But great idea, great backgrounds, and it looks really good. But anyhow, makes a variety of videos. He also does Legends and some mainline stuff, just kind of here and there. But I do feel like his heart, just like mine, his heart's in the masterpiece, Streak Shooters TF Collections. And I'll also go and say, I think this is the first person on the list that was recommended to me by my viewers. Sony over TM Reviews. The last video I did like this, and I talked about him, I actually showed him with his like monthly news that he does with Pake for Life, with Pake's awesome too, and then T-Man 978. Both awesome. So like I kind of lumped all three of them in one, which I'm still kind of doing here. All three of those are great. TM Reviews, he does mostly Masterpiece Transformers, which is why I'm interested in what he does. But he's also, I think he's been sent early copies of Liberation kits for these Masterpiece Transformers from a distributor on AliExpress. I think that's what's going on. I don't 100% know. But Sony's a good dude. He's a really good guy, and he's gotten really good at his transformations, so lots of shout outs to him on there. And then he was one of the first videos up with the mask stuff at one of the toy shows, Toy Fair, I think 1 year ago, almost a year ago now. So he's done a lot of stuff. Lately he's been going to all these shows and putting all of his personal money into the travel and expense to go to these shows and giving a lot of information. So it's definitely a huge resource of information. I just checked out his Facebook on YouTube, and it's like, it's updated several times a day. That's pretty intense. I don't really like to do a whole lot on Facebook, but I do stuff on Facebook. But he's, I guess, going full go on Facebook also. So Sony TM Reviews, I first found him when he was talking about KOs are okay. I wonder how he feels about KOs in 2026. Flipping that script and going over to Bobby Skullface is the one that made the KOs, no KOs okay, or something along those lines, which was kind of what TM Reviews was making an opposing video to, which is, it was a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. Those kinds of things are fun. A lot of people think I don't like Bobby Skullface because I disagree with him. I'm okay with KOs. He doesn't believe that there should be a lower tier, cheaper option for Masterpiece. All Masterpiece should be pay more to get more, and not get like open play big springs shouldn't exist, those kinds of things. He doesn't really care for those. I disagree with that. And so I don't have anything against him, though. He has kind of pulled his content, a lot of it, to Patreon only, which I think is just a move that he decided to make. Guaranteed income is kind of the whole point of that. But since I don't really do this for income myself, I'm not in that space. So I really don't understand 100% of what's going on with that. But he did some sit-down Saturdays. He's put some of these for dummies, and I think he says he does put his Masterpiece Transformer reviews on YouTube. But with all of that, great dude, lots of fun. I mean, he's been around in the game way longer than I have, and he's done some really amazing stuff. He has a music video on the first of every year, so there's a lot of great things. Bobby Skullface, I have a lot of respect for him. I think he does a great job. Wish he would open up a little more of his content a little more often for people, even if he's just using it to advertise his Patreon. I think that'd be a whole lot more fun, Bobby. Speaking of Bobby, we got Bobby the Bot and James the Con with Bot versus Con. Now, I will say this is the second on the list of YouTube channels referred to me by my viewers in a video just like this. So you're watching this video and you're like, well, there's someone I watch almost every day. Put it down there. Put it down there in the comments. And with that, these two grind pretty hard. They do. They grind hard. They are putting out videos like 3 or 4 a week, and they're usually at least 30 to 40 minutes long, if not an hour. And I will go and say this, they scrape harder for the news than I do. I don't scrape as hard as I used to because a lot of times I'm scraping and it's stuff that I don't think people care about anyway. But they scrape pretty hard, and they get to the 4 corners of the earth and all that kind of stuff. They find the heavy water and all those elements. But with that, I do also like their opinions, and they're honest, and sometimes they agree, sometimes they disagree, and they agree to disagree. But fun to hear their take on everything. And it was also really fun to watch. I mean, it's painful too, to watch the whole mask debacle go down with Bobby. Speaking of Mask, Ingo also reviewed Mask. Now, Ingo, I still believe, is the biggest Transformers reviewer out there. Jobby the Hong's up there too, and I should probably put Jobby on this list, but if, like, everyone knows Jobby. Everyone knows Jobby. He's pretty cool too. But Ingo is probably, I think they're kind of neck and neck. I should go look those numbers up. But Ingo reviews more than just Transformers also. He reviewed all of these. He did point out all of the flaws and the flaws he didn't have. And he was up to date on what the flaws were that other people were experiencing. So I think that was all really good. And it's just kind of fun. Ingo is just one of those that's been in the game so long that you can just kind of trust that you know what you're going to get when you click on an Ingo video. At the same time, I do value his opinion, and I like to hear what he's got to say about these as someone who's pretty much handled every Transformer that's ever been made, is what it feels like. Imgo, is it like 316 or something? Influences interest on YouTube. Now, I want to say that this is the third YouTuber recommended to me by my viewers in my comment section of a video like this. And I'll say that he does a great job. It's a lot of fun, and I like to hear his viewpoints too, especially with the Masterpiece stuff that he's getting, and it's especially if it's problematic. And I don't know. I'm like, hey, he's put one up, and you know he's going to show you every problem he finds with his, and I like that. Sometimes there are some reviewers that will like glare over the problems. And then by the time you get to it, you're like, why am I the only person having this problem? And then you go watch one of those videos, and you're like, oh, they were having this problem, but they didn't showcase it, but he always showcases it. Also, he does a good job with his transformations, and yeah, a lot of fun. He does a lot of different things. He's into Legends. I really feel like YouTubers are just getting out of Legends, and he still does some Legends too. So it's one of those weird things. Very few people are doing Legends these days, or far less than there used to be. But influences interest on YouTube. Great job, and go check them out. Matthew Deluxe Baldwin. I feel like we kind of got in the game around the same time, and it's one of those things where I knew him more from his Shattered Cast podcast than from his own channel, and I started watching his own channel, and I was a little confusing at first because he was on Shattered Cast, but at the same time he was making his own videos, doing his floor time, and I was thinking, is that something every Shattered Cast member does, or is that just his thing? That's just his thing. And I think everybody wants to come up with something to do that's fun, and that's what he does that's fun. He does a few pretty cool things, and Deluxe Baldwin's always been a great guy in the community. Does have a lot of Transformers, a lot of knowledge, a lot of input, a lot of insight. So, shout out Matthew Deluxe Baldwin, doing a good job. Next up is Just Incredible, and I found out about Just Incredible from Mega J Retro. He was on with Mega J Retro chatting, and It was a great chat. I see, and that's one of the things when you watch it, you're like, hey, that was a really good conversation. He had a lot to offer, a lot of good viewpoints, and he's what I would say a newer collector, new to collecting. I feel like he started collecting when, if I got it right, collecting around COVID, and then making YouTube videos shortly after. But he does a good job. I didn't realize how deep he's into Transformers, and lately it's just been, he pops up with a video, he's showing a Transformer, talking about Transformers, and I'm just like, hey, you know what? Just incredible. I thought he was all about Ninja Turtles and stuff, but he's really been letting the Transformers take over, and it's real easy to let Transformers take over your collecting because they're awesome. I mean, I'm just going to put that out there. I'm going to say that, but he's showing how he gets affordable Transformers. That's the other thing I like about him. He's very open about talking about finances, being fiscally responsible while collecting, and throws out just basic fiscal responsibility for everything else too. So I love that about it. When collectors talk about this stuff and bring it all out there, bring about, you know, your successes, but also your failures and opportunities. Throw all of that out there and, you know, let people know that, hey, I messed up here, so this is what I'm doing to get better, and I've been doing better on that. That helps people. And so anyway, just incredible. Does talk about a variety of things. Just got to go check out his videos. I can't list everything he's into, but I kind of feel like when I see Just Incredible, turtle guy, right? But way more than turtles, and definitely into Transformers. Next on the list, Michael Mercy. I don't think he really needs an introduction. Michael Mercy is excellent at making videos. Now, my understanding is he did go to film school, and that's what my understanding was. But he's got a lot of really amazing videos. He does basically documentary style history of videos that do perform very well. Because let me just put it this way, I'm going to thank him, yet at the same time blame him for me branching off into so many other vintage toy lines, because as he showed them and the fullness of them, I'm like, you know what, that's not very much stuff. I could go get those. I could have the whole toy line, $600, and it turns into be like $2,000 to get it, but I jump on a whole toy line because I get excited for it. We'll say Visionaries I got my foot in the door on Visionaries from one of his videos at the right time, because they have kind of gotten more expensive lately, but he does do a lot of Transformers videos, histories of Transformers videos, and one of the things I look at that and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna, there's just so many and so many little parts and pieces, I'm not going after that. I actually prefer like the toy lines he shows that have 12 figures, like Visionaries, or, you know, even Cops only has 19, but a lot of fun. Michael Mercy talking about this stuff, and he is a masterpiece Transformers collector, but I think he's one of those that he's got an older version he's happy with. He doesn't constantly upgrade, swap out. He doesn't play the swap out game. He just is satisfied with the versions he's got. Well, unless he's not. I'm curious if he's gotten any new masterpiece Transformers in the past year or so. But Michael Mercy, go check him out, but he probably needs no introduction. Everybody probably already knows him. All right, so the last one here I have is Chris Jam, who I don't really know much about. I just caught a couple of his videos, and it seems like he has figured out what works with the algorithm is to find the most controversial topic and hit it hard. And he also does news, gives news updates. Like, he pops up with news, and I'm like, where did you even find this out? Where did you even hear this stuff? But he's the first person that broke this one, and, you know, now everybody's talking about it, but Hasbro teasing a new Studio Series 86 Unicron. And with that, of course, he had a lot of thoughts, a lot of good points, but he has lots of these discussion videos. Now, I believe he is purely doing the Hasbro stuff, but I'm going to tell you this, if you notice, there are far more, significantly more Hasbro collectors than Masterpiece collectors, so he's talking to a much larger audience, and he's engaging them. So doing a good job there. So Chris Jam, you're doing a great job. He also does stop motion, I guess, because there's a lot of stop motion in his videos. So fun to watch, fun to hear his thoughts, and fun to hear these discussions, and I think people love being part of said discussions. Chris Jam with 2 A's. All right, so let me know what you think about this list here. It's a lot of fun. I'm just going to leave you guys with some sold out Marge, because somebody said Marge is sold out, and I wanted to prove them wrong and say, no, it's not sold out here, but it's sold out. Anyway, if you have anybody else that you feel should be on a future list, I would love to check them out and make another list like this in a couple of months. That would be new to me. Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. And thanks to everybody who's making great content for Transformers out there. And shout out. I love giving shout outs. And I'll love to do this again in the future. Titanium Hanger out.